A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3.
Coffee and COVID.
Morning, everyone. I'm Deidre, founder and fixer of the PR company.
And I'm Taylor, a PR executive at the PR company.
Grab your coffee, tea, water, whatever it is you drink to get your day going, and get comfy because we're about to start talking COVID.
Here at the PR company, we wanted to bring some light into the circumstances that we've all been facing. We also want to stay aware about how businesses, either big or small, have been affected and are changing their workflows these days. So let's get into chaos, COVID, and communication. All right, guys, so as you might see, we are doing business on top and COVID on bottom.
It is the COVID mullet.
Yes, literally the
professional on top, party on the bottom.
It's what everyone's doing in every Zoom meeting, and you can't lie about it.
We're just showing the world the true story behind the PR company.
We just wanted to be comfy too while we get into all this COVID talk. So for starters, what's your drink of choice for the morning?
For the morning, well, today I am drinking Arbonne detox tea due to some COVID inflammation, we'll call it,
COVID swelling,
COVID gut, as it's referred to in my house. What about you?
I have my matcha latte. Whoops, my matcha green tea latte with almond milk. It's really great.
So are you a make your own or a Starbucks?
Not even close. I can't do anything somewhat close to that. I don't even know where to get matcha, but it's my drink of choice. How about you?
I am definitely a Starbucks person. I'm a Frappuccino girl all the way. If I have to make coffee at home, it's Illy because I think it's the best. It's the Italian coffee.
I never had it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Starbucks, 100%.
Yeah, I can't do anything myself, basically, with food-wise. It's just always so much better when somebody else does it.
Yeah. We were talking about this the other day that we essentially could have a recipe and a picture and nothing will ever come out the way it's supposed to. So we're really looking forward to a world when everything opens up and we're able to go out and deal with the service world.
We are so excited to go back to restaurants. I feel like we're both really big foodies too.
Yeah.
So for some housekeeping now, where do we work and what do we do?
Where to begin? I am Deidre Krause. I am the founder and fixer of the PR company. I established the PR company 3 years ago after leaving the quote-unquote agency world. Sort of had a Jerry Maguire moment and wanted to have more personalization, less clients. And I've been successful at doing so and picking my clients and working with a lot of small businesses, women-owned businesses, nonprofits, a lot of companies that wouldn't be able to kind of meet the criteria of agency retainers. And by being boutique and working from home, we have less overhead than a lot of other agencies.
I feel like people get really confused about what PR is. So can you give like a one-sentence briefing on what PR is, public relations?
I like to call it prolific recognition. And what it is you pay a company such as ours a set number of dollars per month or a set number of dollars for a press release that goes out. And ultimately what it is it's third-party credibility. So we get you on TV if that's what your business calls for, or we get you in the newspaper, or we get you a speaking opportunity, whatever it is. But all of those things, the TV, the print, the speaking opportunity are all free. So the only thing you're paying for is us to do the service of getting you out in front of your public. So rather than paying for an ad, which just looks like, an ad that you might flip past in a magazine, this would be an article written by a reporter. So it gives you that third-party credibility that you are looking for, whether you want to sell more things to more people or just create general awareness for your business.
Yeah. And I always think of PR as like the backbone of any business. Any successful business has an amazing PR team behind us, and our clients always have us to like have a shoulder to lean on, or, you know, if they need help right away, we always have their back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting into COVID.
Well, you haven't introduced yourself.
Oh, I'm Taylor. I am a PR executive here at the PR company, and I started about a few months ago during the pandemic. So I'm not too well aware of how business has changed during the pandemic, but I'm really excited to see throughout the pandemic and, you know, towards the wind down, hopefully that'll be soon, how business gets changed and what modifications we're going to start making to see when, you know, a lot more places open up with new clientele, or how our clients are going to change what they need and what we can still do for them. Yeah.
So what are your fears about the pandemic on a personal level?
Personally, I would be so scared not to just get the virus myself, but to give it to somebody that I love. I probably could never forgive myself if I did give this or pass along this virus to anyone, even if, you know, they won't get affected by it or they do get affected by it. I just could not handle that, especially if it was something like I went to CVS to go get gum because I needed gum, and I picked up the virus somehow in the middle of that and gave it to somebody. I just like could not forgive myself. And how about you?
I'm right there. And I think my fear level has kind of followed the trajectory of the, you know, Miami's curve of, you know, when we first started, we were going up, and then during the shutdown, we went down, and I felt like things are okay, like we can do this. And then being the epicenter, that sort of caused a lot more anxiety. And like you said, when, you know, you have elderly family members or people with a compromised immune systems, it really puts into perspective whether or not you need to go to that, you know, gathering or that restaurant or that CVS run. Like you said, it you never know where you are.
It definitely puts things into, it makes everything so much more highlighted into what you're doing and how it can really affect you. Because every day before COVID, I never thought of like, I'm going to go see some friends, and like, I never thought that could affect anyone but myself in a way. So to be able to see that and to change my views on so many different things, but in a really positive way, I'm a little happy that, you know, COVID could bring that out of me. Obviously, I wish it didn't have to happen, but at the
or
same
for
time,
so long.
Yeah, for so long.
Like, I think we got the message after 3 months.
I got the message after 5 days. I just remember in the beginning of COVID, you know, maybe a week into it, I cut my hair 6 inches and dyed it pink. And now
I cut bangs.
Yeah.
Hi.
And now we're almost half a year into it, and definitely the patience is kicking in, would you say? So on a professional level, what do you think your fears were about the pandemic?
My fears were stability of my company and the stability of my clients' companies. Public relations and marketing, social media, communication in general tends to be one of the first line items that gets cut whenever there is an issue. Like with the recession in 2008, you know, we experienced that as well. And so it is unfortunate that happens, because it's really a time where people that are still using marketing dollars can shine. There's less clutter for them to get their message through, and they can really have a share of voice. But I, you know, was really concerned because I have retail clients, small businesses, nonprofits that are struggling because there's no donations coming in. And then selfishly, I guess, for myself, or realistically, just worried about what this would mean to my business.
Of course. I mean, during the pandemic, our clients have definitely stuck with us, and we've even got a few more. And, you know, the persistency and the continuing of working really hard has shown that during a pandemic, you have to still get your voice out. Nothing's slowing down in the business world. I know the rest of the world has, you know, come to a halt, but we have definitely pushed with our clients as well, and they've been doing really well and adjusting as the world adjusts too. And I think that's a huge point to make, that you have to keep pushing forward no matter what's going on. You know, the show still goes on, and you just always have to reevaluate and see what more you can do. And at the same time, I feel like we've gotten so much closer to our clients in that way. You know, everyone's on a more personal level. Everyone's really caring about how people are these days. And I think that can really just show how much we do for somebody professionally and personally. Like, we care about you. And I think
we're true partners.
Yeah.
And I think that you know is shown in a lot of ways, and our next question kind of leads into that. How has COVID-19 impacted our work? I would say we have several clients, small businesses, retailers that we're working with them without being paid. So we have temporarily cut back on their retainer because it's so important for them to get their word out. We have a retailer who is doing primarily only online business at this point, and through social media and email blasts, we've increased their online business by 70% year over year for the last quarter, which was obviously the worst quarter so far. Knock on wood.
Yeah, for real.
As an interior design firm that we're working with, obviously it's really hard to get into people's homes and to make changes in their homes. So doing virtual consultations. So I'm sure the rest of you, we've been sitting in our homes for about 6 months, and so a lot of people are looking around and thinking, I don't like this, I don't like that, I want to change that. So there's a lot of work out there, but it's just about shifting perceptions and seeing how you can do things differently.
100%. I mean, like we were even touching before, everyone's always just like, oh, how are you? Good, how are you? But now we kind of get more into the nitty gritty on a personal level with the clients. Like, everyone's going through a lot of struggles right now, and to be able to, talk to somebody that was only, a professional standpoint at first, and now saying, how are you really doing? What can we do to help you?
How is your father-in-law who has COVID?
Yeah.
Knowing the stories of the people that we're working with, and like you said, more so than just, everyone says, how are you? And everyone says good, because that's what you feel like
that's what you
want to hear.
Just have to say, just to get through it. It's like, how's the weather? Oh, it's this and that.
And now it's much more of a true communication.
I agree. And at the end of the day, I always believe that your PR company cares as much about your company's space as you do. And now we really, I think, are feeling that we care as much about you as, you and your friends do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So work, has the PR company benefited, or has it been hindered during the coronavirus? What do you think?
I would say we've gone laterally, which is a good thing. I would not say that would be a good thing in normal times. Mm-hmm. But because we have certain clients that we've furloughed their fees while still working with them, we've had the opportunity to do work with different agencies that are not hiring staff full time, but hiring out freelancers. And it's given us an opportunity to work with a lot of clients that are doing really good in the community, from back to school drives to awareness of online predators, to with virtual schooling and kids so much on the internet these days, because what else do they have to do? Awareness of that from parents and teachers, to tutoring, like how are you going to get through the next months, 3 months, 6 months as a parent? If your children are at home, you may have to be at work. How do you do that? And especially the younger the child is, the harder it is to get them to be on a Zoom call and learning that way.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, I personally wasn't working at the PR company at the beginning of the pandemic. I was actually taking finals and graduating college. So on that note, I understand how hard it was to be a student and do online classes and try to study and do study guides and talk to professors online. So I am definitely super compassionate when it comes to people trying to learn. It's not an easy task, and I really am congratulating everybody else that graduated during these times and are continuing to work on their education as well. So as far as clients, how has it been communicating with everyone? You know, you were able to see clients in person, and what is it like now?
Well, if I could have taken out Slack and Zoom, I would have.
Oh no.
Because everything is virtual. But it's good because we need that connectivity more than ever. You know, we're so isolated. We have our masks here. I mean, we're doing our handy hand sanitizer. But you know, we're being smart with what we're doing. But communication is essential. We're getting more phone calls, I would think. That used to be emails. We're having more Zoom calls that used to just be telephone calls or emails. People want to have that connection. And I think even if it's a business connection, it is better than, you know, being isolated.
The productivity in how we communicate, I think, has only gone up from here, and I think continuing to do so post-pandemic, it's going to really help us that we've had to only have that kind of communication and no in-person communication. And email just obviously doesn't cut it anymore, so having to get on the phone for at least 3 hours out of the day while still doing work has definitely shown us communication is key, and public relations communication is even a higher key.
And that's been tough with reporters because they're all working from home as well. So they're getting bombarded by emails. So when we say that clients have the ability to get more share of voice because there's less public relations activity likely taking place because of cutbacks, reporters are getting bombarded by emails because most people don't have their cell phones. We have a couple that are go-tos that we love. But it's hard to break through the clutter with reporters. So communication with reporters and really providing them with something that's relevant, important, and kind of all packaged together so that they don't need to do a ton of work really helps out so that we can get those stories out there that really need to be told.
With a great subject headline, right?
Yeah, the headline is everything.
Everything. So what's your proactive approach to and tools that we've gone through and have helped us with work?
I think it's twofold. I think for internal, with our existing clients, we've become more proactive with just sharing information where we may have held it for our weekly call. We're just letting them know what's going on a day-to-day basis. We're also upping what we're doing, especially for clients, as I had mentioned, like the retail clients or small businesses. We're upping what we're doing strategically for Instagram, for Facebook, LinkedIn, really reaching out via email blast to their target audiences with those direct calls to action. Calls to action are key. I think it's also given us COVID, where everyone says they have no idea what day it is because it's Groundhog Day and everything is exactly the same. It's slowed down the pace of life, and it's given us the ability to look at our business. And so it's given us the opportunity to focus on our Instagram, our Facebook, our LinkedIn. It's like the cobbler who has no shoes.
I don't
know
what that
millennials don't know the expression.
Explain that one.
So a cobbler, do you know what a cobbler is?
Okay, yes.
Okay, yeah. So he makes shoes or fixes shoes. The cobbler's family never has shoes because he's always making shoes for other people.
Right, okay.
So for us, it's that we're always focused on our clients. We're never focused on ourselves.
We don't do the PR for
our
PR
company. Yes. So it's given us the ability to really be able to focus inward on ourselves and and get our name out and get our brand out and do things like COVID and Coffee, which doesn't benefit us. It's just a sharing of stories, and it will be with different business owners and students and a whole variety of people in upcoming episodes that are asked essentially the same questions. And it's just about, giving back and doing what we can.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all going through the same thing. We all have the same thoughts running through our head constantly. We're all having more or less the same complications that we're all going through. We're all kind of stuck. But like you said, social media and other platforms like that have really enhanced everyone, in business to school to everything in between. Like, without social media, I don't even know where we would be right now.
I don't either.
It would not be pretty.
Yeah, I think especially with family, with friends, with and businesses connecting together. I think that like a call to outreach for school supplies, or a call to your cousin in Indianapolis, all of that is equally as important.
It's so important.
And I think that Taylor has really done a good job since she started, because she's brought the young millennial perspective of social media and really brought a lot to what our clients are seeing, and different elements that my 38-year-old self didn't know about.
Well, I'm always here to help. We're always all learning together. It's a never-ending cycle of just starting to refresh. There's no wrong in just trying to learn something new and trying to only advance yourself. So I think that's a huge element, especially in PR, but in everyday life. So I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. If the pandemic continues through a few months from now, through 2020, through 2021 and further, what do you think the differences you can make in your business from here where we are right now? What can you advance if we have to continue, doing work and living in a COVID life?
That's hard. I mean, I think that we were fortunate in that we already work from home.
Yes.
So it wasn't a learning curve like so many businesses are facing right now. I think that it took me a while when I first worked from home to, I would watch the Today Show, and then all of a sudden Hoda and Kathy Lee would come on, and I'd be like, shit, gotta go back to work. Like, what am I doing? It's 10 o'clock. So I don't watch TV in the morning. So I think that people have been struggling with that a lot. And so I think that we're really fortunate with that.
Yeah.
And I think that we're fortunate in that we are communicators. And that is something that I think has really come out of the pandemic that is so important. There's so much going on in the world. And, communication, I feel like, can solve so many problems. And so I just think that we've escalated the amount of communication that we have with our clients, with prospective clients, with friends, with family. I think that is something that I want to take away moving forward.
Of course, the adjustments of how you can communicate can only benefit you. So I think that is a huge, major role in how we can only continue to drive that forward and keep pushing out our communications and our efforts and what we do, and we can only grow from there. So hopefully, as we continue to strive to create a better community throughout where we live and throughout our businesses, we can only go up from there. So what are the main differences pre-pandemic and right now, since I wasn't working for the PR company at the beginning and before? What do you think is just the huge difference in everything workflow wise?
I would say nonstop COVID talk.
It's everywhere.
If you're not, every story, no matter where it starts from, sort of ends at COVID or has a middle ground of COVID. And whether that's a talking point, like where you're on a call or you're working on a story with a reporter, I would say that it's a central theme of our life now. as much as I feel like the world has short-term memory, I feel like because this is something that is so uniquely different than anything that the majority of people out in our lives have ever experienced, probably all, because it was 1911 was the last really, like, the Spanish flu.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they're probably not with us. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
So it's something that is new for everyone. And I mean, I can't imagine like going to kindergarten for the first time, and doing it on Zoom.
Right. It's just something that we never thought we would have to go through. So there is just a major difference in every aspect of it. There was never a day where I thought, oh, I couldn't go to my friend's house, or I couldn't go grab a bite to eat, just because like I can't touch anything, or I have to wear a mask every day. And I just remember on social media seeing masks was just like a very taboo thing, and now it's you can't not have a mask or else you'll get those dirty looks, or even if you
kicked out,
or if you choke on water by accident anywhere in public, and yeah, you get those like,
girl, you need to get tested.
Like, leave right now. Yeah, so it's little things like that, or having to wash your hands 24/7, and just being like cleaner and healthier in general. Like that's a huge difference in what
I think so. Yeah. I think that businesses that focus on health are going to really skyrocket if they haven't already, if they're getting their messages out. Because to start off being as healthy as possible, hashtag Arbonne.
Yeah, it's not a sponsored ad.
Not a client yet.
Yeah.
But trying to start off in the most healthy way that you possibly can in case you were to get infected. I think that is, it's all about what you put in your body. Is really a huge focus right now.
And that goes into what I also want to talk about is like a silver lining out of all this. And I do believe everyone's going to be a lot more aware of what is going on around them, what they're putting into their body, what they're touching, what they're cleaning off, like how we were talking about. When have you ever really just cleaned off all your fruit and all your...
Yeah, who uses Clorox wipes as much as we do now?
Right.
And grocery shopping and everyday life and having the uncleaned pile, the cleaned pile,
just being so aware of that. Yeah. And when's the last time you had a Purell on you? Maybe even 3 24/7. I have one in my car, in my purse, in my back pocket even now.
It's crazy.
To be aware, I think that's a huge silver lining. And one silver lining I've taken away is patience. Mm-hmm. I think I've become so patient, like we were talking about at the beginning of this episode. 5 days in or a week into lockdown, I cut my hair. So and I have worked on myself tremendously during this pandemic. It gave me a lot of time to step back and evaluate everything that was going on in my life, because everything was on halt, so I had nothing else to do. And I definitely have found a lot more patience in myself with people, and everything in between, just like that. And what do you think is a silver lining?
I have two. Forgiveness, mostly self-forgiveness. Being not as hard on yourself.
100%.
It's so hard day to day to, get up, get into the grind. It's Groundhog Day. And if you don't get everything checked off your list, remember tomorrow is another day. And my second one is togetherness. I think that we have a lot going on as a country, but we've really come together over COVID. I think that from, people in New York at 7 o'clock banging on their pots and pans, thanking first responders, even walking the dog through the neighborhood in the evening, neighbors that we have walked by a million times, that we've never said anything to, we're now, hi, how's it going? How you doing?
How are you?
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel the same way, but I always smile at people, but I have my mask on so they don't know I'm smiling.
Yeah.
So now I'm like so much more colorful and characteristic. Yeah. I'm like, hi, how are you? With my mannerisms and stuff. And it really is nice to see everyone getting out. I mean, how many more people are on the streets in the evening walking their dogs? Everyone's doing stuff now.
Because we have to get out somehow. Like, we have to do something.
Like, drives are really fun now. Just like going around the block.
Yeah. for nothing.
Yeah, for nothing.
No, a
It's
journey
the small
with no
things.
destination.
And I think that's another really big silver lining is that the little things are what counts. So I just think we all appreciate everything 10 times more. And now that, you don't really, we took so much for granted.
Yeah.
And now that we can't do it, I think the second that everyone is safe to go out in public, even to a movie theater, or to have Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, with your family.
And that's the most
extended
grateful
family.
Exactly. And that's the most grateful time of the year. And the next time we can do that, I think we're just gonna really lavish in how that's gonna feel to be able to hug your nana or, see your baby cousin that was born
and you haven't seen yet.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna be, a very euphoric and amazing feeling that we're going to have because, in the last 6 months, there's been holidays, Independence Day, and everything in between, birthdays, and you just couldn't do anything. And I think we're going to definitely appreciate
Zoom cocktail hours.
Zoom happy hour has been, it's been great. It's been great. But at the same time, you want to just cheers your glass with somebody, not just yourself. And I think it's going to definitely make a difference in how we live after. So 5 years from now. Down the line.
2025.
2025 is the year. And let's put our head into perspective. What do you think the business will look like in 5 years from now?
The business world.
The PR company and the business world in general.
I think the business world, as I mentioned before, has short-term memory. It happened after the recession, especially in places like Miami, where there's so much money and so much growth and development. And it really seems like we very quickly were like, whoo, done with that. Let's move forward. That's not going to happen again. I think that office space is going to change. I think that
no more cubicles.
Yeah, I think open concept is going to really be hard to sell moving forward. I think that retailers will probably be a little bit more conscious about their inventory. I think a lot more will go online. I mean, e-commerce is booming.
Yeah.
And
Amazon package, how many do we get a day? It's Christmas every day here. It's honestly, it's what we're just living for at this point.
Yeah.
And I have definitely had like an oops, did I just buy that moment? Probably 5 times a week.
Yeah.
But it's always great to get a package at the end of the day.
It is.
So yes, e-commerce and Amazon are doing just fine right now.
And thankfully we have a client that is in the industrial market and he is doing well. So in 5 years from now, I think he's going to be doing even better than expected. For us personally, I think that we are going to be probably, I think this shifted the type of clients that we'll get. I think it brought me back to my focus of 3 years ago when I started the PR company. It really, I think working on our website, working on case studies, working on our social media, it really made me look back to that foundation of what I wanted to establish and work a little bit back towards that. Less about, financial gains and more about
what you're doing it for.
Right. More about like personal gains, like the what the client is and what the message is and what we can be doing for the community in which we live.
And that's really something to appreciate when you as a person you don't care about, the quantity, but you care about the quality. You don't care about how much money you're making as long as you're advancing your communities and helping people that are doing well for everybody else. Like we have a client that his slogan is literally give, care, and share. They're not saying me, and me. So to be able to adjust in 5 years from now and say, I would really appreciate working with so-and-so because this is what they're doing for other people.
Right.
Not
they
just
align
themselves.
with what our mission is.
Exactly. And I think that's something to really amend and say, like, yes, thank you for doing you. Because at the end of the day, a lot of PR companies are looking at the big faces and they're saying, let's just make these stupid people famous and get money off of them because, they're in the market right now. And we've talked about that before, how like, just the what's hot now is really selling, but we're trying to, go and take, not from the back burner, but we're trying to bring forward the people that
may not be able to have their voice or their story told
as easily.
Yeah.
And those are usually the more important things.
Exactly.
Yes. So do you think that you'll always keep in mind that some sort of catastrophe could happen just like COVID in basically a blink of an eye?
I think so. I early on in COVID became a hoarder of supplies, not scary things like trash. Not that show. But I think, not that I'm going to get to the point of having a bunker or something, but
we all need a little doomsdayer mentality.
Supplies. So not that we want to take away from first responders who need the PPE, but having, I think in Miami we're much more prepared in general, although I think we get a little bit desensitized over hurricane season. So I think that we need to take that mentality of hurricane season minus the desensitization, and
say that 5 times fast,
right? And apply that to, what could we be doing, or what do we need to survive? And I think that we're going to focus more on our health. I think we're going to get vaccinated, flu shots. I think that stuff is going to go through the roof. Proactive care, just, treating our bodies like the temple that they are.
Yeah. And let's say this were to maybe happen again in the future, from how we acted in the beginning of the pandemic, how would you take that if that ever happened again? How would you change that?
I think I would be less lost on a personal level, because I think anything that happens the first time, like think about your first breakup. You think it's the end all be all. Like you can never get past this. I will never love again. And then all of a sudden,
been there,
you're in love. So I think that it helps. Anything that has happened once, I can get through this. I've been through this. I've done this.
Especially something that you never would have thought would happen happens.
And so quickly.
So
in the blink of an eye, it was like lockdown.
Nothing is open. We can't do anything. And I think in the beginning, if this ever happened again in the beginning, I would definitely, like you said, just try to stay as calm as possible. I think everyone went a little crazy. And because, the uncertainty is not assuring exactly the toilet paper.
Let's all stock up on some toilet paper so that when we have another pandemic, everyone can get what they need.
Maybe that's what we should invest in.
We should start a toilet paper company.
All right, bye guys, we have to go with
sorry.
Company.
We need a business plan. Stop.
So what do you think the pandemic has really taught you in just general?
I would say every day is a blessing.
Waking up is something that
not everyone is doing.
Yeah, not everyone gets to be able to do. And whether it's from the pandemic or something else, being able to get out of bed is something that you have to really appreciate every day, and be able to walk on your own 2 feet and say hi to your close friends and family. I agree with that completely. It's definitely taught me to appreciate everything in life.
So on a personal level, have you contracted COVID?
I have not. We've had some scares here and there. I've got tested a few times. Not as many as you.
4 times.
4 times and then one time we had to get it in both nostrils.
Double.
That's no fun. So no, I haven't, and you haven't.
No.
But you had it in the household.
I had it in the house.
I was telling Deidre, if anyone were just to have like a consistent antibody, it would be you, because like she just presents herself so well. And we were saying, like, you look at Adam Sandler and he just looks like he would never have the antibodies, how he just like presents himself. We love him, no shade to him or anything, but you just look like you would literally survive through a pandemic or anything that happens. So
yeah, knock on wood, nothing yet. But like I said, I definitely have that fear as we, do our peaks and valleys. And our numbers, just weeks ago were at record breaking. I didn't leave the house.
It's getting to a point though where like it's just like I'm gonna just go outside and just embrace what we have right now. Not saying just to be like not safe or anything, but I think getting out is a little bit less scary as we're learning to be cautious.
And we're learning more about COVID.
Yeah.
I think that in the beginning it was this huge unknown, which so much of it still is. But I think that it was very much this like the boogeyman, and you had no idea where it was.
It's like Medusa. If you look at it in the eyes, you're done.
Frozen.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, telephone.
Hold on.
Work from home. So I think that having, the science come out and things, and New York, for example, was so hard hit. And now being able to show that New York is going back to school, and in a successful manner, I think that gives hope.
There's always hope. And I think that's something that we always have to remember, that time, everything will go on and there will be a new normal. And we were also talking about this, how definitely things are going to be affected and are going to change forever, even though a lot of the media and the world has memory loss. But how we've seen a lot of crazy things go on in the world. For example, 9/11, how, we see so much more security in airports. There's going to be some sort of stagnant safety precautions that COVID has brought us that's only going to benefit us more in the future. And to be able to take those things away from a huge pandemic that we thought we would never be in, I think can only help us from here on.
So, last question, 19 of them. If your life today were to be a hashtag, what would it be?
As my mom would say, hashtag oy vey.
Oy vey.
Oy vey. How about you?
Hashtag anyways.
Anyways.
We can get through this.
Yes.
Tomorrow's another day.
So we'll see you next time on Coffee and
COVID.